Thank you, Ian. Welcome to our September EAC meeting. I'm Dan Burnham, Chair. This is Lisa Hollowell. And we have a meeting after a long summer of events that you will learn about in our meeting. So welcome. First is, Lisa, do you have any comments about the minutes from the July meeting?
I don't.
Okay.
I think we will have to wait to approve them until we
Yes.
have a quorum, but I didn't notice anything that needs to be changed.
Okay. Oh, hi, Jane. This is Carol Jane. Did you have any comments about the minutes, although we're going to have to, okay, good. So why don't we start off with introducing our new student ambassador from Radnor High School, is that correct?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Hayden Efron. Yeah, I'm a senior from Radnor High School, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
What is your interest in this Environmental Advisory Council? What do you?
I'm very interested in environmental issues, and I just hope I can help with the community and encouraging students maybe, or to help with to just expand oh my God, sorry. Just to help with Radnor's environmental policies, and just have students be more active in their community concerning those issues, and yeah, just mainly that, I'd say so.
Okay, thank you.
That's great, thank you. And I just quickly pulled up your letter of interest, and it sounds like you've volunteered with the Darby Creek Valley Association, and you're a beekeeper?
Yeah, my neighbor has his own, he had his own hive, so I would help him out with that. It was really cool.
That's great. We're so thrilled to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, announcements. We have a string of them. The regional EACs in this area do get together courtesy of the We Conserve Pennsylvania Association. And they are really, these gatherings of environmental advisory councils are open to the public as well. And the next one is coming up at the 5th of October at Temple University in Ambler. There's going to be very relevant topics to what we are doing here in our township and other townships, including electrification of communities, installation of solar panels, both in residences and within the township as a whole, installation of DC fast chargers, purchasing of municipal electric vehicles, like we have done for our police department, as well as energy audits for municipal buildings as an example of how money can be saved through energy efficiency, as well as replacement of fossil fuel heating with electrical heating. Interestingly, there is an examination of the groundwater resources in southeastern Pennsylvania. This is a issue, of course, that is very important as we're finding more and more industrial pollutants in our drinking water. Apparently, the Delaware River Basin is one of the most highly regulated groundwater resources in Pennsylvania. And so there'll be a session on this regulation and what it's trying to achieve. There's also lawns to meadows session, how we can make our lawns more ecologically balanced and natural by switching more off of herbicides and pesticides and putting in native species besides grass, native plants. And lastly, there's events planning and management for EACs. So it would be of special interest to members of EACs to attend this session as well. Aside from the regional EAC meeting, there is a plug recycling day, anything with a plug recycling day and paper shredding event at the Radnor Financial Center on the October 26th, starting at 9 o'clock. All residents must pre-register with Eventbrite. So any electrical device other than large appliances, smoke detectors, or projection TVs, like the doghouse TVs we used to have, anything but those can be brought to be recycled.
Dan, did you say also shredding?
Yes, paper shredding. Mm-hmm.
And that's October 26th.
October 26th at 9 a.m. in the Radnor Financial Center, which is right on Radnor-Chester Road near the high school.
Just going back for 1 second, will you be attending the EAC regional?
Yes.
Okay, great, because I'm not
Yes.
able to attend that day, so that would be great if you could report back to us.
Yep.
Thanks.
October 12th, Saturday, there's a Delco Household Hazardous Waste Collection event. October 12th, Saturday, don't have a time here. It's at the Upper Chichester Municipal Building, 8500 Furry Road in Upper Chichester. Paints, cleaners, oils, batteries, and pesticides can be brought to this event. Okay. Public comment. Anyone wish to speak? Okay. Ongoing business. This is a follow-up to public comment from June 27th. One of our residents brought our attention to the Pennsylvania Resource Council's traveling glass bin program. This is where a large collection bin would be placed perhaps in a municipal building parking lot for people to drop off their glass recyclable containers. And the Haverford has participated in this program and was collecting about a ton of glass a week in their bin, which pretty much paid for the fee that is charged by the PRC for the bin. I'm going to be discussing when we get a larger number of members here whether to formally request of the township that we try out this program. It'll be $1,300 to $1,500 for a 25-yard bin per week. So there is a charge to the township for that, and the question is whether we could collect enough glass from the township residents to pay for that.
Can I chime in? I wasn't at last month's meeting, but I had, as part of my outreach to Republic Services, who is Radnor Township's recycling company, I had reached out in response to a public comment several months ago with concern that not all glass was being recycled. And his response back to me was that when you put your glass in the normal recycling here, it is being recycled. There's only a residue rate of 11 to 13%. So we can ask, Mr. Noble was the representative who provided that information, and he will be presenting our upcoming lecture in October entitled How to Recycle in Radnor. So I can follow up a little bit more to see what that residue rate is due to, why that 11 to 13%
Right.
isn't being recycled. But it seems to me that other than that, our glass is being recycled. So what is the need to have this traveling bin
Right.
and have to pay the fee if that is the case? Are we
Right.
trying to collect the glass or do something?
No, I think that's a good point, Lisa.
Yeah.
And I think I could ask of PRC and present that data to them for our township and have them explain why we should instead use their service.
Yeah, because,
All I know from the people who collect the material, glass is the heaviest recyclable item, and so it's a lot of weight and volume to be put in their trucks, and so it adds to the burden and the number of trips they have to make to the station. So I will.
I can
contact
follow up
PRC.
and get more information, like if it is that there's a particular type of glass that isn't being recycled and that we can divert that elsewhere, I think that would make sense. But otherwise, I don't feel that our township needs that. It might be maybe better for other townships where they aren't already recycling glass
Right.
properly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, update on our own municipal energy conservation and electrification plan. We do have, I think, two F-150 Ford Explorer Lightnings, Ford Lightnings. They're the pickup truck. These are the electric vehicle, special services vehicle that the police department is using. And I talked to two officers at the Wayne Business Association Fall Festival on Sunday, and they love these trucks, apparently. They're fast. They're not a pursuit vehicle because you use up your battery within 10 minutes, 15 minutes of a high-speed pursuit. So they are not for long-distance travel. They're perfect for local patrol and cruising in the township. Apparently they are able to get the charging done for the vehicles, although there is a delay in installing the final charging station at this township building. Upgrades to municipal building energy systems. Practical Energy Solutions, who did the original audit, energy audit of this building and the Public Works building and the Sulpizio Gymnasium, was awarded a contract to direct the replacement of roofs on these buildings and install solar arrays on this building and the Public Work building. So, much to my pleasant surprise, they have not only evaluated whether solar could be installed, but have been awarded the contract to actually install solar panels on this building. So make use of a flat roof wherever you can. But first replace the roof before you put the panel in. because the panel has a lifespan of 20 years or so. Lastly, the LED streetlight project has progressed, and 1,200 fixtures in the township have been replaced. And now the township is eligible for PICO rebates on the purchase of these fixtures. Next item is mulchless native perennial plantings. Carol, can you update us on that?
Well, Spin was coming to update us, so I was, when I reached out to him for an update, he said he would be here to provide it, so.
Okay, well, we'll hope he comes. We'll
Yes.
punt that to a later point in the meeting. Public education. Lisa, do you want to cover
Yes,
that?
sure. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we just had our, I didn't mention this part, but we did just have our last lecture on September 10th, which was Microplastics, the Invisible Pollutant. I don't know if that's available online, if folks want to
It will be.
check it out, but that would be great. I wasn't able to make it, so I would love to check it out.
So,
And then-
so if it's online, because a couple people were asking me, is it on the township website? How do you get to it?
You can go to radnortownship.com and then look through the directory under the list of departments and find Environmental Advisory Council.
Okay,
Then
that's why, so it's in
the
under
lecture
the
series
environmental
is
advice-
a sub-page
Okay,
in the
thanks.
EAC.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. There's a, EAC lecture series page under the EAC page.
Right.
I'm not sure if the most recent one's up there, but our next lecture will be October 24th at 6 p.m. right in this room, called How to Recycle in Radnor. Our speaker will be Charles Noble of Republic Services, who is the company that does our recycling for us here in Radnor. So he's going to be here to answer all of our questions, to give us an overview of how recycling works, and also some do's and don'ts about how to make sure your recyclables get recycled, what to do with pizza boxes, and all of the important questions that many of us may have forgotten or never learned how to do properly. So he's going to give us a primer on that. And then I guess I can just keep talking even though I didn't set up this one, but we also have another lecture set up on December 5th at 6 p.m. entitled Wild Philly, The Extraordinary Nature of Our Backyard. And I believe the speaker for that is the same speaker that spoke on September 10th, who was very positively received. So that should be really exciting. And I believe we're going to try to get all of these posted online, but we certainly encourage township folks to come and be there in person and ask your questions, because that'll make it all the more fun.
Right.
So-
I was present for the microplastics presentation, and although very disturbing, he did a very good job with both the presentation itself and the slides that he showed. So I highly recommend we all come to see his presentation on the nature in our backyard. I mean, if you're ever out in your backyard, if you have a backyard, it's amazing what comes out at night.
Yeah.
So,
I also, this isn't on here, so I hope it's okay to add, but I have two ideas for future lectures that I wanted to float to see if how people thought. Carol and I met a woman named Lisa, I think it was Snyder, at the Radnor Fall Fest this past weekend, and she is with Birdwatch, which is an organization that works on sustainable home maintenance and improvement. And she gives lectures on that topic, so I thought we should reach out and see if she would want to, provide a lecture in our series along those lines and educate our township about sustainable home improvement measures. I also, I'm just raising this now because it also came up at the Fall Festival, but I'm wondering if it would be helpful to try to find a speaker who could talk about the use of Roundup and the dangers of glyphosate, because I was speaking with some folks, and it didn't sound like, even though for me in my line of work, I'm very aware of the dangers, I think that not everybody is. And I thought that that might be helpful because I know people are still using Roundup, and I think it might be helpful to have a talk about why it is dangerous and what some safer alternatives would be for some of the pest crops that Roundup is currently used on. I don't know who that would be, so if folks have suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I can start doing a little bit of digging and try to see if I can find
Okay.
someone good.
Great, Lisa.
Also, as far as the lecture series, we met, I think his name was Bill,
Yep.
from Longleaf Pine Straw Mulch, which is the most ecologically sustainable mulch available. And it's basically mulch from pine needles, because we know people are not going to totally stop mulching, but if you look, and this was his handout, I don't know if you would like to see that. He can give a lecture on why, this is certainly a more sustainable route to go. So I was thinking if we could follow up with him and give him a date. I don't know what,
Okay.
are you scheduling them, Lisa, or who's?
Well, we have several ideas. I'm counting two more right now, in addition to what you just talked about. So I think we'll need to coordinate our efforts.
In terms of the scheduling, as far as I know, nothing is scheduled past December 5th. So we
Right.
potentially can do these in the, at any time, probably starting January, maybe the end of January.
Right.
And I scheduled the one that I set up, but I think I just sent an email to, I forget if it was Molly Gallagher.
Oh, but the
I don't
Charles-
remember who it was, to see, and then the potential speaker, to just see if this room was available and if that worked for the speaker. So
Right.
I can do that for the birdwatch person, and if you want to do it for the pine mulch person, I can copy you so you can
Okay.
see who I reached out to, but
Okay, that'd be great.
yeah.
Well, unless you have another idea, Dan.
Well, yeah, there's two ideas.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Climate change in Delaware County. Again, very topical. Presented again by Michael Vielbacher, who presented on microplastics and wild Philly, our backyard. He has a presentation ready to go whenever we want to have him on climate change in Delaware County. The second one is presented by Rebecca Yurkovich. She's the Delaware County Office of Sustainability Director, and she would be able to present on the 2023 Delaware County Sustainability Plan. So this plan, which was been out there now over a year, discusses climate resiliency, natural resources, energy and efficiencies, transportation, zero waste, and health and wellness. So I think it would be good to see just how the county is walking in lockstep with the municipalities like ours on these various topics and what their vision is for the county as a whole. So I think maybe offline, the three of us need to get together and coordinate with our colleagues on this. How do we schedule these presentations?
Sure, I also don't know what the budget is, because some of the speakers do charge and some of them do not.
Right.
So that's also a factor
Right, that's-
to ask when you reach out.
That's, yes. And I will get an update from Melissa on our budget situation.
Are we on a fiscal year, or is our budget January to
So
December?
I understand it's a calendar year.
Okay,
I may be wrong, but.
This
Ian?
was the first year we had any budget to speak of. So I think we're still learning. Before this year, we
Right.
had literally no resources to do anything. So we
Yeah.
requested money at the beginning, when was it, last summer?
Yes,
I think it was for this calendar year, but I guess we should double check that.
yes.
Because we'll probably also have to do that again. That's something, do you know, like, Melissa would know,
Yeah.
if we need to make a request for next year's budget, when we need to do that, we should
Yep.
figure out too.
Yep. Yep, okay. The Radnor News Community Newsletter, it comes out quarterly, and we had a summer issue that had a presentation by our EIC on gas leaf blowers. And from the feedback, some of the feedback I've gotten online, it has generated interest, if not just comment. So we are planning another article in the fall issue on English ivy, danger to trees. So if you've noticed, English ivy, I'd say, is one of the most invasive plants in our community. It's a dark leafy vine, triangular-shaped leaves that are very aggressive in covering the ground and climbing up the side of trees all the way to the top of a tree, and they can kill a tree eventually. So we will have an article, hopefully in the fall issue, that will discuss how to kill ivy at the base of trees by cutting the vine, as well as removing it from the ground. On our EAC website, we have something called Earth Friendly Tips, and 2 new tips have been added, one on gas leaf blowers and the other on English ivy. So if you wish to know more about the harm done by gas leaf blowers, both in terms of noise and air pollution, and on the dangers of English ivy and how to remove them, please consider reviewing our EAC webpage, again on the Radnor Township website. Let's see. We did have some interest in eco-friendly yard signs at the Business Association Fall Festival on Sunday, and we will follow up with those. I think there were 2 residents who were showing interest in being visited. Basically, this is a program started by my predecessor who wanted people to be awarded recognition for having a ecologically balanced yard. So again, banning pesticides and herbicides and limiting the amount of grass that requires so much care with often gas-powered equipment, and planting perennials and native species. So this program did get a lot of attention over the 2 years I've been on the committee here. So we're going to plan for the future to have continued interest.
Do we know approximately how many we've given out so far? Carol and I were trying to estimate, and we really guessed more than 20, but we don't know how much more. How many
I'd say,
more?
yeah, at least 20. I've visited, I'd say, 7 homes. Each of us has done that. So, and I still see the folks have their signs up where I've gone, so that's
well,
great.
if we follow up with Margie and ask how many she ordered, and
Yeah.
have you ordered some more?
Yes, Yes, I
And we
got to
can
look back and
And
see
then
what my
we
order
can,
was.
because it would probably be a nice number to track.
Yeah, no, it would, okay. Okay. I'll get that statistic for you. So, new business, we've introduced Ms. Efron. Thank you. And I know Donnell wants to speak with you about a project for you about takeout food. It often comes with all kinds of accoutrement, plastic accoutrement, straws and utensils, and how to educate people as to opting out of that when they place an order online, or even have the restaurant not provide that extra stuff when you take out food. So she'll be talking to you about that.
Okay, I'll look for her message. Should I touch base with her about that soon, or?
She'll probably reach out to you. Yeah, no problem.
Yep.
Another thing, it sounded, our student representative last year, Emma, helped us organize in the spring an environmental careers panel, which I thought was great. It sounded like there was virtually no Earth Day activities or anything that happened at the high school. So I figured I would raise that to you now so you can start brainstorming with us if there's any way that we could be helpful to do some kind of environmentally focused programming for the spring. I mean, it really throughout the year, but if there's anything in particular that we could plan for around Earth Day, I feel like it would be a really great idea to kind of start some sort of tradition at the high school to raise awareness. And it could be, on a range of topics, but, think about it and ask your friends and peers and let us know if we can help you in that effort.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I think the high school would be open to like an assembly maybe, or an activity that that they could have maybe yearly starting like this year. They do like to do those. You're right. I don't think we had an Earth Day for anything at the high school, but we've done other things like Kindness Week, and so they like to include like different activities to engage the high schoolers, and they're in like to like more community oriented things. So.
Great. Thanks.
Yes, and on that note, our township manager on August 19th sent a letter to the Delaware County Office of Sustainability expressing our township's interest in the USDA compost and food waste reduction program. So this would be a program that the township would receive some funding for having food waste collection either centrally or ultimately at curbside outside your residence for that food waste to be converted into useful compost. We do this in our township with leaves, the Radnor mulch, which is can be collected at various locations, including the willows and Fenimore Woods. Why not take that and include a separate collection for food waste and have this quality compost available for residents to use. So that is just something that the high school could think about, for example, as getting the message out that this program is about to get underway. So, and gas leaf blower phase out. So gas leaf blowers have been a topic of conversation for several years at the EAC level. But as you can imagine, the noise and pollution caused by these machines is attracts a lot of residents' attention, but there is pushback, and understandable pushback, from commercial landscapers and from townships or institutions with a large tracts of property to take care of, that it will be expensive to convert to all-electric lawnmowers or just even leaf blowers. Are the leaf blowers electric driven? Are they up to the task of leaf collection at the capacity that a township such as ours would have? It has 400 acres of parks, 10 athletic fields and baseball fields. That's an extensive volume of ground to be mowed and cleared of leaves. So what we are doing is really going to get information from stakeholders, such as these companies and institutions, as well as gather information from fellow EAC groups in this area as to how to address this issue. For example, Swarthmore went up with a municipal ban proposal, an ordinance banning gas leaf blowers, and got a lot of pushback. So that effort has been delayed. I would think it has to be done at a broader level than just municipality by municipality. It may have to be done at the county level, or even what I've heard, even at the state level. And this will have to be done gradually, understandably. So I'll be learning about this at the regional EAC meeting on October 5th. Let's see, the last item is a resident expressed concern about housing development in her neighborhood on South Spring Mill Road, about extensive clearing of trees, and her concern about the watershed not being improved to prevent flooding as a result of putting in new homes. So the EAC is planning to meet with our township engineer and director of community development to better understand how residents are informed of plans for development in their neighborhoods, and perhaps to ensure the community is aware of these lines of communication that the township does use when development is planned. That's all I have. Anyone here? Anything more?
The only other things I had were residents during the fall festival at our table came up. I don't know if you saved the notes that I took, but I remember one of them was concerned that there were 30 trees removed near the Radnor Crossing Apartments, which is right up the road here. I don't know anything about that, but we can reach out to the township and see if they know anything about it. I can do that.
Right.
There were also a couple people that were expressing concern about the prevalence of Japanese knotwood, which is an invasive plant. So this is, I don't know much about it, but I'm also, if folks have thoughts, let me know, but we can look into some public education maybe about that, if there's, what the safest ways to remove it are, and maybe think about that for one of our future public education campaigns.
Yes.
And there was a third thing I wrote down, I don't remember what it was.
Is the Japanese knotweed, is that a weed?
It's, I think, a vine that is invasive. I don't know much about it. I only just looked it up when it was, two different people happened to
I remember when
mention
they were
it.
talking
Yeah,
about it.
so,
Well, we'll have an article on how to remove Japanese knotweed next year. Anything from the public?
Yes, please. Hi, everybody. My name is Carrie O'Donovan, and I'm a resident of I'm the resident who reached out to
Yes,
you
Carrie.
about the development along South Spring Mill. And our little neighborhood is 5 streets, and we call ourselves the 5 Streets neighborhood, and I run the email list. And along South Spring Mill, between Woodstock and Conestoga on the left side, in the last 5 or 6 years, there's only 3 or 4 houses that haven't been majorly redone, big trees taken down. And right now we're in the middle of 2 lots being cleared. At the same time that someone on Sunny Hill took down 2 trees, but a huge lot on 320 was cleared. It looks like, a post-apocalyptic, it's a horrorscape. And since all those things are happening at the same time to this same neighborhood, it's really changed the character of certainly that part of our walk as our neighbors are walking. But people on the other side are having all this highway noise now because the lot on 320 was almost like a fully densely forested lot. And so we're noticing a lot of negative changes. And maybe one of these things wouldn't make such an impact, but all of it cumulatively is a problem. And I know people do studies to see what is the impact if we do this. But now we've done this and this over here, and it's too much. And I know it's just me here tonight, but if we need more people will come and talk about this from our neighborhood, because it's kind of big impact on us. And there's another lot that they're trying to subdivide, also on South Spring Mill, which also is densely forested, and so we would like to at least keep that. But in the meantime, my question is, when people do these developments, and I know they're counting what trees they're removing above a certain caliper, are the trees replaced by a homeowner or the developer? And is there any follow-up to make sure that happens? Because we've lost this tree canopy, and I would like to ensure that at least if my children were to drive through the neighborhood, it would look like it did when we first moved in.
Okay. I think we should consult with our shade tree colleagues on this
Okay.
as well. At the very least, I think the EAC and ideally the residents should be given an opportunity to learn more about the notification process
I agree, and I
for
appreciate that.
development. So there aren't examples of people being blindsided, or at least feeling that they're blindsided by development, and have a chance to voice their concerns before plans develop too far. So we are going to confer with the township engineer and the director of community development about what is right now the notification process, and because I want to make sure that they are getting the word out, and it's just residents are not either clicking on that space or they're not aware that they can locate these announcements
Yeah.
for meetings to voice their concerns.
In a previous community that we lived in, the policy was that you had to put up a big placard that was like, notice the variance to this property. And it's, a nice big sign, and it says you can come to the hearing, you can, you know, by now there'd be a QR code, look up what they're trying to do, so you know something's going to change here. You would see a sign because it would catch your eye. And I think something like that would be really helpful because we were blindsided. I'm sure
Right.
people would have said, oh, please don't, like, we would have even pooled resources and maybe tried to keep one of the subdivisions of a lot. Like, can we just keep this forested? Because we really enjoy it as a neighborhood. We didn't have that opportunity.
Right.
So I don't know what the right solution is, but I do feel like I knew about none of those things until it was way too late. The saws are already resting in the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
hear your frustration, and I get it. I think we need to look into this, and I think your suggestion of reaching out to the Shade Tree Commission is also a really excellent idea, because they may have some ideas for how to move forward to ensure that some of those trees are replaced, or, you know, that trees are considered maybe in future plans for the neighborhood. I think unfortunately, I think you're exactly right, that if the whole neighborhood were to have been revamped at once, there would be all kinds of hearings and considerations. But
Yeah.
when it happens in a piecemeal way, property by property,
Right.
there's less notice, and there's less that the other people can really do, right? And when it happens all at the same time, you're right, the cumulative impacts can be huge, but there's no requirement, as far as I'm aware, that that has to be considered. And maybe that's something that we can think about, and maybe make a recommendation to the commissioners about an ordinance change that would do something like what you're talking about, requiring notice for every property, right? Not just if there needs to be a variance in order for certain development, right? I don't know if there's any requirements about, you know, cutting down a certain number of trees, if that has to be public notice. So that's something I would like to look into and talk to Shade Tree about.
Right.
Because you're right, you know, it really does change your use and enjoyment of your neighborhood, for all those changes to happen.
And I don't think anyone is anti-progress. Like, we are happy to see
Yeah.
these places developed and improved, but I really want to make sure that we're doing it in a responsible way. And I think when I emailed you, I also mentioned that many of those houses on South Spring Mill all go down the hill to the stream, which then does cause flooding at the bottom of South Spring Mill. And that road's been a mess for 10 years because every fourth rainstorm, it's up over the road there, and you have to go turn around and go a different way. So it's definitely an issue that, you know, if we get crazier weather, it's going to be exacerbated now that there's probably 100 or more or less trees in that watershed.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you. Can I put a different hat on?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Carrie O'Donovan. I have one of the signs that you gave out, and thank you for coming to my yard and awarding me the sign. And I wanted to say that if you wanted to raise awareness, it sounds like you don't have too many people to email, but I know I would be happy to take a picture of my sign with some of my favorite habitat plants, and that might be nice to just gonna give other people the nudge that they would be like, oh my gosh, I have a patch of milkweed. I should see if I could get one of those. So just a thought, because I think it's such a great program.
Thank you.
And it's nice for neighbors to inspire each other. Sure. Thank you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
responding to me. If there's any way that I can help to be involved in making better choices going forward, I would love to be involved. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, folks? Okay, Ian, that's a wrap.
Just in following up to, your name again was?
Nope.
Carrie. Could we have somebody come to the EAC and talk to us so we all understand better? And when these issues come up about the process?
Yes, we're in the process of, I would like a actual, I would like some chance for not just EAC education, but public education on notification of housing development, how that process works. And
But if we could just start with us understanding it and then,
yes, yes, and I'm,
because
Have put out
we had a
a
couple people
request.
at the fall festival come up and mention similar,
yeah, Yeah.
similar problems.
yes, I put out a request to our township engineer and director of community development to meet with them at least, but also to have an opportunity to be educated more.
Maybe they could come to our
Formally.
next meeting.
Yes, yeah, we can think about that.
Or, in one of the upcoming meetings.
Right. Yeah, it could take up the whole meeting. That's, and it's important enough
An
that it-
abbreviated, just the basics, just give us the facts.
Right, perhaps so. Okay. All right, that's it. Ian, thank you.